Good morning, Canada. Welcome to another awesome fall day.
Not that great tonight.
Today, wanted to talk to you about why did I buy a Kia Optima? Well, this is one of those cars that I purchased about 3 years ago. Actually, in my history of car ownership, this is the oldest car, and it's a 2014 Kia Optima. So, yeah, I go through a lot of cars. Well, during the time when I had to purchase a Kia Optima, there were a couple of decisions I had to make. Ooh, cop cars. They usually hang around right beside my house, talk about donuts and coffee, and make me feel safe. Alright, going back. The reason I made a decision to purchase Kia Optima. At that time, I took a job in business development, and which required me to travel a lot. Almost 70,000 kilometers a year. And I was also receiving a car allowance, so it was financially feasible to purchase one because I can also write that off in my taxes. So I decided I'm gonna go with the mid-size car, and I'm gonna turn the heated seats on. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the mid-size car, and let's see what's available. There were a lot of options available. As you can see, mid-size car sector is one of the most competitive sector in automotive industry. So there are the heavy hitters like the Accord or the Camry. These are very easy, logical decisions. But I don't want it to be a middle-aged guy with a boring Camry or an Accord. So I started looking into other options, and I was definitely not going to look into American-made. Just the reason being, reliability is still a factor for US-made vehicles. Unless it's a Ford F-150 or 150 series pickup. Those are freaking great. They're number one in the world in that kind of pickups. But I needed a mid-size car, so I had to go somewhere else. I have been noticing the uprising of Hyundai and Kia since 2011 with their new models and the new shape and the Peter Schneier and they were doing great, and I decided, you know what, I am gonna take a look. Of course, I test drove the Accord, Camry, Altima. At that time, I hated the Altima. I even test drove the Passat, which was okay. Passat CC was a very good car. I loved it, and that was one of my top contender, but price was a major factor in that, so that fall off the bandwagon. And I started considering price and warranty. That was my biggest issue at that time, because I was gonna drive a lot. If the car came with only 60,000 kilometers, for me that's a year, right? So 1 year down the road, with practically still I'm not gonna say a brand new car, it's still a new car, I'm out of warranty, you know. So I decided I would probably have to purchase the extended warranty with everything. So I went to Hyundai, and I test drove the Hyundai Sonata, and over there I realized Hyundai is offering 5 years and 100,000 kilometers warranty, which to me it clicked, because, well, I will probably get a year and a half out of it instead of just a year for everybody else. And in 2014 there were massive discounts on the car from Hyundai and Kia, so the cars were selling $3,000-4,000 below the MRSP and well below the dealership rate. So I decided, yeah, that's to me, the amount of money I was getting for car allowance, and with this finances, I was actually making some money, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that definitely jumps to the top of the chart. So I looked into Kia, because I knew the Sonata and the Optima, they're the same car with the two different faces. I looked into Kia, and I don't know, for some reason the Optima, it looked a little more sharper, and it looked a little more tuned down to the kind of driving that I do. So I test drove it a couple of times before making the decision, and of course my brother helped me hook up with one of the sales manager of Kia, and I got an awesome deal. I ended up signing it. That's why I own a Kia Optima. A lot of people who knows the cars I owned and the duration of the cars I owned, some of the cars I owned for 6 weeks, and they were everything is driver's car, and then they get to know, you have a Kia Optima? Really? Yeah, I do. Now here's why. First of all, I went with the 2.4 instead of the 2-liter turbo. The reason I went for the 2.4 because that engine was a tested and proved engine. The 2-liter turbo, in 2014, Kia had a rod bearing issue, and they were still fighting to figure out the problems with it, and different Optima forums, and even Sonata forums, there were a lot of people with blown engines, and they would get the factory replaced engines because they were all under warranty. Hyundai and Kia did a very good job in supporting the warranty. Anyways, I went with the 2.4 because the less I go to the mechanic, even though it's under warranty, it's less time I spend doing anything else other than the work I do. So that's why I went with the 2.4, and performance wasn't really the decision-making factor. Engine performance, horsepower and torque, because it's a daily driver. So yeah, it was not necessarily a key factor. But one of the things I noticed is between all the cars I drove, except Passat CC, still the #1 car. I even drove a Mazda 6 for all those guys who were raving about Mazda 6 when it came out. I liked the driving dynamics of the Kia Optima because you have to understand, when I was driving this car, on a daily basis, I drove this car for 8 months, and then I just left it there. Parked it. I would spend 4 to 6 hours a day inside the car, right? Every day, day in, day out. So the driving dynamics has to match, or else I'll hate it in a week. Can't get over it. So I don't know. I like the suspension geometry. It's of course the 2-liter turbo had a more aggressive suspension and better brakes. I like the suspension geometry, and another thing I like, which every driver, every car guy will hate me for saying this, and I understand why, but they need to understand why I'm saying that too. I don't like the steering of my daily driver to be connected to the wheel. This is an electronic steering. What that means is there's no physical connection between the steering and the wheel. It's all done through fly-by-wires and pumps and whatnot. I guess less feedback on the steering wheel. You know what? As a driver, I get it. On your track car, your weekend car, you need all the feedback because you want to feel the road, you want to feel the power. Whenever you go through the corners, you want to see everything, you want to feel everything, right? I get it. But when you're like me, spending 6 hours a day with the steering wheel that vibrates, even if you go over a bug, oh my god, at the end of the day your hands are all vibrating. I can't deal with this. I'm sorry, bro. My daily driver needs to be a granny car. because they're the most comfortable. I need to be comfortable. I don't want to go home and aching all corners. I'm young. I can't do this anymore. That's yeah, at that time, those are the reasons that Kia was the one that made me choose. And also the dash is a driver focused dash. The interior is nice for the, you know, it's not a premium interior. I get it. I didn't pay a premium price. For what I paid, this was the best bang for the value. Still today, I as you can see, I have about 60,000 kilometers because I only drove it for a year and then it's been parked. Yeah, 60,000 kilometers. The only reason I go to the dealership is to get an oil changed. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail because there was a manufacturer recall. I took it to the dealership. That's it. Honestly, I don't have any problem with this car. Again, I drove 60,000 kilometers. I drove 55,000 of those kilometers in the first 9 months of my ownership. So if you think, oh, you're a driver, oh, you know what? Yeah, I did what the amount of driving I did in the first year. It's probably 3 times of you. So shut up. I know what I'm talking about. What else? Well, that's basically it. The transmission shifts smooth for what it is. The brakes are a little squishy, and I know why. Hyundai or Kia did not choose high quality pads and rotors from the manufacturing standpoint. But the moment you swap them out with some decent Wagner or Monroe stuff, it's much different. Yes, these cars have, you know, during the power band, when you start rolling, there is a big power up to probably 2,500, 3,000 RPM, and then there is, the power is not really tangible, and then there is a little bit of power around 6,000. It's note to the Kia or Hyundai engineers, you guys gotta figure out this power band, because it's a good power band for, I don't know, grannies, but you can never really get to those driver market where they experience a linear power band through the rev range, and that is very important, and this car does lack that. And again, as a daily driver, as a granny car, doesn't really bother me. Alright, if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. If you like my video, please click like and subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos. Thank you.